Carol Case's career has included Heartland, Let Him Go, High School, and Billy the Kid, and her new project is the latest season of the FX series Fargo. Carol, you've worked on other seasons of Fargo before this fifth season, so I guess obviously it's an anthology series, but has your approach changed over time, or do you kind of start off in the same fashion every time you're going to do a Fargo season?
I think pretty well it's the same method. Noah Hawley, the showrunner, producer, writer, brains of the entire sequence, usually has a vision, and then we all start from character work, whatever period, whether it was season 2, which took place in the 70s, or whether it's this latest one, which is 2019. So it's all based pretty much on character. And we sort of drill down on what these people are and where they are. And because it's such a specific locale, how much action is involved, what's going to happen, because I'm not sure how much you've seen of it, but things move at quite a pace. And there's not always, we have to be prepared for costumes to go from houses right into winter blizzards in one leap.
Mm-hmm. I have seen a decent amount of it, not the whole thing yet, and it's great. I want to ask, you mentioned like this season takes place in 2019. I found that really fascinating because it's like, obviously it's recent, it's history, right? Because we're in 2023, but it's not like things are so different from 4 years ago. And I guess but it's still a specific time. So I guess, does that impact on kind of how you're working on it? Or are you like thinking of, like you said, like the area and stuff, and like what people would have been wearing 4 or 5 years ago versus now at all?
Well, I think so. For the main characters, a lot of the pieces are either made or adjusted from what you could buy now. I think that I think it really and truly, it is more about the character than the time.
Okay.
And the believability of where we are.
So you have great characters here, I would say. The first one just is Dot, played by Juno Temple. We meet her as like a homemaker, but she's obviously got a larger backstory and a little bit of a secret past, I think we could say. But I was like, I guess, like, so how did her life, I guess, how did you think of her, and like knowing that she is someone who is maybe trying to not put herself out there, to say diplomatically or whatever? I guess, how did you kind of like think about how she would dress when we meet her, and like her character and what she's been through to get there, I guess?
Well, when we first meet her, she's like at a school function, I think. And so where Noah and I kind of went is we wanted her to be unnoticeable in the group. We're not, but still, she's still our leading lady. And we have to be able to think back to, oh, that's the lady in the plaid coat at the end. So I think that a lot of what we did with Juno, I mean, she's so great. She can wear a paper bag and she'd be fabulous. But she was involved, and Noah was involved in getting Dot's look right. And we ended up with the overalls. She wears overalls, and she always wears a yellow cardigan. And you might notice that through the entire show. So that's kind of her signature look. I think that the overall's just a practical mom look. She's still young. She's still kind of interested in fashion, but she's not dressing for anybody but herself.
Right. And then how about the other character, who I'd say is another great, and they're all great characters on the show, not just saying this, but like John Hamm playing Sheriff Roy Tillman. What a look. The shearling jacket, I think, is incredible. And he has these nipple rings as well, which I think we've seen in the trailer, people have seen. It's just, he is got a bunch of contradictions, I feel like, in his looks or whatever, but I just love the cowboy hat, everything about him. I just think it is great. And I guess, like, yeah, like, how did you guys talk about him and like think about the character as we meet him later, I guess?
Well, I think for John, it was mostly about, we started with the image of the Marlboro Man from the, those 60s and 70s ads, the cigarette ads. And even the fact that they're cigarette ads kind of says a lot about who he is, right? And you don't want to hate him right from the beginning. So I think that we just wanted him to be believable. We were shooting in southern Alberta, which is cowboy country. So believable as that kind of a character, but still have the slightly romanticized look of that West, the
Right.
modern West.
He's great. I mean, you were mentioning Juno. I feel like John Hamm, you put him in almost anything and he looks incredible as well. He's just like so
Yeah.
handsome and like really, really good.
Yes,
So
exactly. And he was right into it. I mean, you'll notice he's wearing all the right stuff. He's, he didn't shy away from the giant belt buckle. He didn't shy away from the hat. He was right into it. And that helped a lot because it
yeah,
gives us a very definite man of the land, rather than later when we start getting into more of the crime side of it. So
right.
more uniforms and things.
And not to just go,
And the
yeah.
fact, oh,
No, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
And
You
the
go.
fact that he is a sheriff, but he's a maverick, right? So he's a sheriff, but it's like uniforms aren't his world. So it's like, I'll wear whatever I feel like when I feel like it. And so it ended up to be, in a strange way, a little bit of a uniform, because he always wears that sheepskin jacket. But it's of his own making.
He also
No
has,
one else
again,
is
I
wearing.
think this is properly in the trailer, but there's so it's not necessarily spoiler, but there's a scene where he's in a hot tub and he stands up and he has this towel that's incredible because it has his Roy Tillman face on it, which I just loved. I thought that was such a great touch, and I feel like I understand it's probably not a costume, but I just was like that part is really great. I want to ask you, like, a lot of this season there's, again, no spoilers talking around this, but it takes place during Halloween season. There's a great sequence where a very famous Halloween movie factors into a look for the costumes, I guess. And I just thought that was great. And the masks are so incredibly detailed and perfect. And I just thought all of that was like really great. And I guess without, again, spoiling, what did you like? How did you guys think about that and like kind of find those? Like, did you have to make those, or were those like, did you kind of find that? I guess I just thought that
I
was
think
great.
it was a bit of everything. We put some of it together. And we had approval from the originator of that particular movie. So we were able to play pretty authentically with the stuff. Now, the thing is that, and as everyone knows, having Halloween just had happened, is that there's not a lot of stunts you can do wearing a giant Halloween mask. So there were a lot of adjustments. The prop department was heavily involved in, how do we get this to work and how do we connect this to that? And so it was quite a collaborative effort. And the actors were very brave about it all.
Yeah, it's
Falling
great.
downstairs in masks is a too tricky item.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm very excited for people to see that. You mentioned like the crime aspect of it, and there's obviously also so many law enforcement people on the show as well, which is not surprising since it's Fargo. And I guess like, yeah, how do you like are you going to, like, you mentioned like specific area and stuff? Are you like trying to make the police uniforms as authentic as possible? Or are you kind of like taking some dramatic license on those, or like how do you work those, like for Lamorne maybe, or like I just find all of those, they look so specific, and I think it's really good, like even Joe as well for Gator.
Yeah, because there's several law enforcement agencies involved, and also because it's Fargo, so there's a little bit of sideways movement, let's put it that way. He with Lamorne, like those uniforms aren't that color anymore, but it's what we traditionally think of as the Fargo colors. So we like to stick with that. And it also is great because it's not yet another modern look. So it gives us a bit of that feel of hearkening to the past and how the people of that area are connected to the land and the history of that area. And so that's why we moved it to different colors and trying to make it specific. It's a tricky story to tell with so many different law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, but I think you guys do a great job balancing it for the viewer. And while we spoke around a lot of spoilers here, I hope people like really enjoy the show. I just think it's wonderful stuff, and your costumes are incredible. Carol Case, we have to wrap up here, but Fargo, the new season is out later this year. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.